the final sizzle of the sizzler has begun. So what are your first thoughts on this workout?
Grip.
Yeah. You know, this doesn't really spoil anything, but I talked to Sandra after the workout, and she says that it wasn't, she said it was just like central system, just like overall fatigue. And I was like, that's interesting. As you guys watch Noah, you'll tell that it is quite grippy for most people probably.
I think it depends on how fast you're going, and then obviously what your normal limitations are. So like someone like Noah who's experienced grip fatigue in the past, or just a limitation with grip, something like this comes up, that probably is going to be the number one limitation. I know for me it would. And it also depends on how fast you're going. For those that break up the barbell, let's say maybe do 6-6 deadlifts or have to go 3-3-3 on the hang cleans, it won't be as grippy as someone like Noah or Sandra who are going unbroken.
Yeah, that's actually something, well, one thing to notice that they just did, the bop-bop technique with the power cleans, I feel like that saves grip a little bit and it's just way faster. So if you can learn that skill, this would definitely be a workout to implement that in.
I love that we call it a bop-bop technique.
Like,
we don't have a real name.
Yeah. Bop, the first bop is the bar into your quads. What's the second bop?
In your throat. It just crushes your throat.
Bop through. Actually, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, you guys can disagree with me, but I think that for most people, starting off with the barbell unbroken makes no sense.
Yes, I agree 100%. This is actually something, so Noah's strategy with this, and he was kind of taking it from a workout that he did with Travis earlier in the week, was to kind of throttle his overall urgency and transitions down and go through the movements unbroken. I talked to him after he finished the workout. You'll notice by the end, this is a spoiler, that he can't do that. And I actually talked to him about potentially if a workout like this comes up that has a grip limiter, we might want to just have him work really fast in short sets that give his hands a break and just distribute the rest throughout the workout. So instead of doing 20 seconds and then 9 unbroken hang power cleans, rest 5 seconds, pick it up and do 3 and drop it each time. You're adding a little bit of work with like deadlifting and back up each time, but I think overall you're saving so that you have a faster finish.
I think a place for most people to easily save their grip that loses no time is the deadlifts. I know a couple years ago, Wodapalooza had double DT as one of their qualifiers, which is different, but still a very grippy workout. And I broke the deadlifts in like 3 or 4 sets from the beginning, but the break is you stand it up and you let go and you follow it down and pick it back up. So you're just letting gravity be the eccentric for you. And if you're disciplined, you're not losing any time. And with this light of a deadlift, it's not like that first rep without the rebound really makes a difference.
The same can be true for all the gymnastics movements too, right? Like even toes to bar, you could break it into 4s or 3s and still be relatively fast. And the same thing with chest to bars or bar muscle ups. So I think for most people, Mia, you're exactly right. They should be breaking from the beginning. For Noah, he wants to be aggressive, and so he's also testing this as almost like a quote-unquote games workout. Where am I going to fail? How fast can I go in the first couple of rounds? And then he can learn from that for if something like this does come up. The one thing I will say, his first round, and we can kind of track this, both Sandra and Noah, his first round was 148. You already can see deterioration in the second round, so it catches up to you quickly in a workout like this. The other thing, I know I'm rambling here, but DT for Noah or Sandra is probably like low 3 minutes. And then if they just did 5 rounds of 12-9-6, toe to bar, chest to bar, and bar muscle ups, it'd probably be another 3 minutes. So you'd think like 6 minutes total for a workout like this, but in reality it's going to take them much longer because of those central systems or whatever you want to call it.
I think the movement pairings and then also the fact that there's so many transitions embedded into the workout. The 2 movements, so Noah right here is on the shoulder to overhead. I think that and the hang power cleans are the 2 that's just kind of a lot of energy to try to break the sets up. Like if you put it up overhead, I feel like you should be planning on doing it unbroken.
Yeah. So Noah's onto his bar muscle ups. You can see his breaks are a little bit longer already. He took longer to get on the barbell. Sandra kind of the same thing. So this is kind of where you have to kind of figure out, am I going to get on the barbell quickly and break it into sets, or do you want to keep it unbroken?
Most people, the first one.
What? Most people the first one? Oh,
yeah.
The first one.
That's just my tip to you. Don't do that.
I thought you were going to keep going. I was like,
no, that's it.
And go on.
Yeah. One thing to note with them specifically in this workout, so this is a very drippy workout. We're in Atlanta, it's very humid, and an hour before this
Max was
workout.
a bully.
They did I was a bully with their row intervals.
You took away Noah's towel right before the workout.
They did row intervals, so they were sweating. Their hands were kind of like wet and soft from holding on to the handle for so long. And Noah did have a towel next to him, and I pulled it away, and I said, you won't have that at the games. I was going to move the chalk out, so that way they had to move to the chalk, and he said...
He talked you out of it.
He did. He said every time at the games that there's a pull-up bar, there's chalk right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, fine, I'm going to get in here.
It is a really good point, though. We get so comfortable in our own environments. We have our own, like these are spiel bars, so they're really tacky. We like our barbells, the way they spin. But then you go to an in-person competition and everything kind of like is just out of sorts. The bar's slippy, the bar doesn't spin the same way, whatever it may be. And then we all of a sudden start suffering on a workout, and then it gets in our head. So I think having practice like it will be in person really helps.
I like the slippy bars.
Slippy. Slippery.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, you know, if you're in your own gym and you're doing something like the open, you do want to make it, or the sizzler, you do want to make it as set up optimally as possible for yourself. But it does make sense if you're preparing for in-person not to do that, because tiny things, like if I had to use the bar in between them to do a workout with this much gymnastics, there's a lot of effort getting off and getting onto that bar each time in every single one of the breaks. I might have to break this gymnastics 40 times, which means I'm doing 46-inch vertical jumps and catches on the bar. It adds up in an endurance style sport.
Is that why you had to share a bar with me?
It
And
is.
you almost decapitated me?
I know, and I got called out in the comments.
Happy to help.
Yeah, Brandon stole my bar. I was like, oh, this is the bar I'm going to do. Brandon's like, I'm going here. You're taller. I thought you'd use that one.
That's not true. I said I'd use the middle bar.
True.
Yeah, if you're someone that is really good in your own gym and then you've been to in-person competitions and you've always maybe just 10% slower and you wonder why, there could be some anxiety or other performance issues that are going on. But one of the things you should ask yourself is, am I prepping the same way that's going to feel in an in-person competition? So it may be something like take your towel away, don't use chalk on a barbell, use a older barbell that doesn't spin, whatever it may be. Start playing around with those things so that you can get used to it.
So Noah on the left here is finishing up round 3, which means he's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds around, and Brandon had said he was about 148 for the first. So you can see there's a pretty big deterioration. That means the slowest round could have been 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Sandra is about 1 movement behind Noah at this point, so she's finishing her chest to bars. Got to get back, do the shoulder to overhead and bar muscle ups to catch up where Noah is. And for the first round, they were relatively close to the same pace. So this is definitely a workout. You're watching 2 of the best in the world go. So assuming our time cap, you guys will most likely get capped. So you can kind of model yourself off of this and say, you know, you might be doing 4-minute rounds. It might be better off doing that than trying to do 1 round in 3 minutes or 1 round in 2.5 minutes. Just kind of be mindful of that the fatigue in this workout is going to slow you down no matter what, and a pacing on the front end might save you. Give a cue to Sammy before that workout that she wasn't allowed to bend over and shake her arms out. She broke it in round 4.
Why?
For her specifically, it was midline control and endurance. And those rest breaks too, they got really long at Granite Games, and I think you just default into it. So I wanted to give her
There's so much relief that happens to my shoulders when I bend over.
For sure. When I told her, it was after the workout, I talked to her about it, and she said that she tried to do it, and it actually made her nauseous, and like her core was giving out. And I said that by forcing herself to train postural endurance, she probably actually is training her diaphragm in the midsection to stay vertical, which might help with gymnastics. So I said, use it as like a last resort in competition as opposed to a default resting position. It wasn't just a breathing. There was some thought to it.
Sandra's first round was just over a minute, so she was like 10 to 12 seconds slower than Noah in that first round.
Just over 2 minutes?
Just over 2 minutes,
Okay.
yeah, for the first round. And then she just finished that one at 8:45 or something like that. So you can kind of see, again, the deterioration. It's going to happen to everyone, but it's good to see the best do it so that you can kind of game plan for yourself in a 15-minute cap.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like, if this was an actual qualifier style workout and they didn't do an hour's worth of rowing intervals an hour before it, I think you might see less deterioration and maybe a little bit better pacing in terms of the rest breaks, but this is still probably better than any of us are going to do. So it's just a good model to see. There is deterioration no matter what in this style of workout.
Yeah, their training, I mean, their volume is really high right now. It's the second session of the day, like you said. So it'd be different in competition, but still, I think for most of us, it's going to be 3-4 minute rounds from the start, and then we're going to have to plan for that, especially if you're trying to get your best score in a 15-minute cap.
Yeah, I mean, you could even set up an interval style format for yourself if you knew, like, okay, I'm trying to get 4 rounds done. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do 6 deadlifts, rest, 6 deadlifts, or set 6 deadlifts right into 3 hang cleans, drop, finish the hang cleans, and overhead. Oh yeah, this is not DT.
I mean, you could, but it'd be no reps. Keep going.
Just saying, giving yourself some sort of a strategy with rest breaks in it could be helpful. A lot of people don't like to do that because they feel like, I just want to go hard. But calculating a little bit of your rest times and using somebody that's counting your reps to tell you like how long you're resting can be super valuable for people that aren't fit enough to just keep the throttle down for 15 minutes. What we see in these demos is like, it's a 1 in a million type athlete.
This workout is just super common too in open style workouts, right? It's like a barbell, some kind of cycling with a gymnastics movement. Obviously, we threw in a bunch of barbell movements with a bunch of gymnastics movements, but if you're good at this, you're going to be pretty good at a couple open workouts or other qualifier style workouts, so something to work on.
And it kind of looks like the, 21.3?
Yeah. Squatting instead of the hinging, but
different limitations, but
yeah, there was the bicoupler at the games. There's been power snatch, bar muscle up,
the standard, which is similar to this.
Muscle ups. I think just barbell and upper body pulling combo is super common.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if you're good at all of these movements, then again, that's 6 movements that are tested almost every single year at the games and in qualifiers. So being good at workouts like this definitely helps.
So this is where Noah's sets are starting to break down and he's not going unbroken anymore. He mentioned to me afterwards he had a little bit more aggression in his transition from round 4 to 5, and maybe if he would have kept that smoother transition between movements, he would have been able to hold bigger sets. That's what he said.
Yeah, so those toes to bar, that was 4-4-4 to finish the 12. That's way different than when he started unbroken. And there's rest within there. So you're just using a lot of time in this last round. And this might just be something people have to be prepared for. 10 minutes into the workout, you might just have to figure out how to get it done with fried fingers.
Well, you could see his grip is definitely gone because slippy fingers. You can tell that his grip's gone because he's shaking his hands out, and on the bar, you can see on the toes bar, his hands were like almost like rotating across the bar, which is the worst feeling ever.
He's bopping harder too.
Yeah, I think he can't hang on to the bar, so he just oh, my quads will take it. So these are the types of failure points that if you're making a strategy for yourself that you want to avoid happening. So maybe more rest. I'm sure if this was a competitive style workout, like in an open workout, or if Noah was competing in the Sizzler, he would be able to watch this, go back, and create a break strategy to avoid getting to the point where he's having to do 4 or 3 pull-ups at a time and 2 hang power cleans at a time. This would generally be a part of the workout that Noah wants to take advantage of.
Yeah, and if you have some left in the tank for the last round, you can make up a lot of time on the field.
Yeah, I think Sandra, if we did split times, all the way up here, she is doing the resting pose. I kept yelling to her, and she was like, I have to do it.
Leave me alone.
Stop being annoying. I think if you had split times, I think Sandra would probably have made up more time relative to Noah on the last round, even though she was, still pretty redlined at this point. We'll see when we get to it. She still does her bar muscle ups at the end unbroken, and we'll see what Noah's look like here.
Yeah, you can see
one at a time. So a big difference.
He just couldn't absorb the eccentric anymore, which could happen to you. So if it does, probably have a plan for your rest breaks in between them.
This is something what Mia means when she says absorb the eccentric, is the lowering portion of every movement is generally the harder on your muscle belly. So when they start to get to failure, that usually goes, he just failed trying to get over. So that would be the concentric. That is a strategy for people to do singles if you get to that point of grip failure, is you go up, you do the muscle up, you try to come down under as much control as possible, but not have to catch yourself at the bottom and change directions, because that's the most stress on your grip. So he's just trying to figure it out like an athlete. but seeing like movement quality break down, he's not symmetrical, they start to chicken wing. This is what you try to avoid in training, but when you get to your limits,